I don't care about what your limitations are. I don't care about who don't believe, who don't trust it.
Walk it like I talk it, yeah, I walk it. Yeah. Flowers never grow without some water.
What's up, Lions Den fam? It's your boy, Pastor D, back at it with another Bible study. We are getting into Genesis 18 on today. I don't really have, a title for this. So we're just going to let God have his way, and we're just going to let the Spirit of God flow. But as you all are aware, if you're just following me now, if you're just tuning in now, we've been reading about Abraham. We've been reading about faith. You get what I'm saying? What it means to walk by faith and not by sight. And it's really been encouraging. You get what I'm saying? Because even in my personal journey and on my personal walk with God, my faith, I can definitely, see how my faith is growing. You get what I'm saying? And just really being encouraged by this. I want to encourage you all on today that are watching in, that are tuning in to watch this, to get to a place where your faith in God is unshakable. Get to a place to where no matter what is going on around you, no matter what it looks like, seem like, or feel like, that nothing can shake your faith in God. Get to a place to where you trust God in spite of it all, in Jesus' name. So I want to get into this. In chapter 18, it talks about the birth of Isaac promised. And it starts off and it says, "Now the Lord appeared to Abraham by the terebinth trees of Mamre in Hebron, while he was sitting at the tent door in the heat of the day. When he raised his eyes and looked up, behold, 3 men were standing a little distance from him. When he saw them, he ran from the tent door to meet them and bowed down with his face to the ground. And Abraham said, 'My Lord, if now I have found favor in your sight, please do not pass by your servant without stopping to visit.' In other words, Lord, I am opening up my atmosphere. I'm opening up my space. I'm opening up my home. I'm opening up my heart to you. I want you to visit me." And oftentimes in life, we don't necessarily make room for God. And let's just keep it real. I know what it's like. I've been in that place, but I'm more intentional now. I'm more intentional now in making space and making room in my life for God. And I want to encourage you to do the same in yours. Abraham saw an opportunity. He looked up and he saw 3 men standing in a distance from him, and he knew it was the Lord. He knew it was the Lord, the angels of the Lord. And so he immediately ran and took his opportunity to invite God in, because of what him and Sarah were basically going through and dealing with. Again, remember, they're still having that lack of not having a son. And what this encourages us is that we ought to invite God and want to invite God, to have a need, a desire, a zeal, a pull to want to invite God into the midst of our everyday life, into the midst of our problems and our situations. I love that, the song by Jacqueline Carr, when she says, "Don't tell God about your mountain, but tell your mountain about your God." And so in this moment, Abraham is saying, "You know what, God, I understand, that me and Sarah were going through this thing. We just went through this whole situation with Hagar and Sarah, having her moment of wanting to make things happen on her own accord. But I want to reset the tone, and I want to invite you in. I want you to get close. I want to get intimate with you. And I want to make this thing personal. And I want to reset the tone in my house, because I've been realizing what's going on. I know I laughed. I know I had that little moment. I know Sarah had her little moment. But right now in this moment, we need you." So he invites him in, right? And so it says, "Please let a little water be brought by one of my servants, and you may wash your feet and recline and rest comfortably under the tree. And I will bring a piece of bread to refresh and sustain you. After that, you may go on, since you have come to your servant." And they replied, "Do as you have said." So Abraham hurried into the tent to Sarah and said, quickly, get ready 3 measures of fine meal kneaded and baked cakes. Abraham also ran to the herd and brought a calf, tender and choice, and he gave it to the servant to butcher, and he hurried to prepare it. Then he took curds of milk and the calves which he had prepared and set it before the men, and he stood beside them under the tree while they ate. He served in the best spirit, even in the midst of what they were going through. He didn't only see it was important to invite God into his atmosphere, but he also saw that now that I have the Spirit of the Lord here, now that I have the angels of the Lord here, now that I have heaven here, I'm going to serve with the best motives, the best intentions. And a lot of times we don't necessarily have that mentality. We don't have that spirit to serve with the goodness of our hearts, because a lot of times we let what we go through affect how we serve. We allow what we face, what it is that we're dealing with, we allow that to affect us giving our best or giving our all, even when it comes to God. But Abraham said, I'm going to choose the best of the calves. I'm going to make sure that I set it up nice for y'all. I'm going to get your feet washed, everything. I'm going to make sure you're comfortable. And God should feel comfortable resting in us as we abide in him and he abides in us. There should be a sense of comfort, of peace, of joy whenever we are in the presence of God and whenever we are inviting him in to our atmosphere. And so it goes on and it says, then they said to him, where is Sarah, your wife? And he said, there in the tent. He said, I will surely return to you at this time next year. And behold, Sarah, your wife, will have a son. And Sarah was listening at the tent door, which was behind him. Now, Abraham and Sarah were old, well advanced in years. She was past the age of childbearing. This is important. This is an important piece of information. Because one thing I love about God is that God, he's not slack of his promises, but he always knows how to come and reassure you and reaffirm you that he still remembers the promise that he has on your life. Oftentimes we think just because things don't happen right away, just because things don't happen when we feel that they should happen, just because things ain't happen instantly, because, we live in a microwave generation. We want everything to happen now. And if it don't happen now, then I don't believe it. If it don't happen now, then maybe God forgot about me. Maybe God ain't going to do it. This is the kind of mindset that we have. So God is reminding Abraham, I haven't forgotten about you. I know what I said to you. And I know, y'all had the little moment where, you put Hagar in the midst of it and Sarah had her little moment. And I know you laughed the first time I told you this. But I just want to remind you that my promise still stands, that my promise is still going to come to pass in your life. And so he asked where Sarah was at, and Sarah's there listening, right? Remember, Sarah's supposed to be baking the bread, but Sarah's over there listening. And when she heard that, and it mentions their age, and the reason why I love, let me talk on this for a minute. The reason why I love that it mentions not only that they were advanced in age, but that Sarah was past the moment or the opportunity of childbearing, is because God does his best work in moments where we as humans deem it to be impossible. The Bible says that with man, all things are impossible, but with God, all things are possible. We get so caught up in the statistics of humanity in this world and what doctors say and what the world says, about giving birth, having kids at a certain age, or, not being able to do it at this age, or whatever the case may be. But what we have to always remember and remind ourselves is that we serve a God who created childbearing. We serve a God who created the idea, who created the opportunity to bring birth and to give birth. So if we serve a God who is the maker of childbearing, why would we doubt God who's able to do the exact thing that man deems as impossible once you reach a certain age. And so God is giving this information to show, I don't care about what your limitations are. I don't care about who don't believe, who don't trust it, who don't agree, who don't think that it's going to happen, who don't think that it's possible. None of that matters to me because I know who I am and what I'm able to do. All I need you to do is just trust and believe me. All I need you to do is not get yourself lost in fear and doubt and remain in faith. Remain solidified in your faith. And so it goes on and it says, so Sarah laughed to herself when she heard the Lord's words, saying, after I have become old. Look, see, God already knew she was going to get caught up on the age thing. God knows what we're going to get caught up on. He knows where that fear and that doubt is going to come from. And that's why he'll warn you about it. That's why he'll tell you, hey, don't let this get to you. Don't let that get to you. I could think about so many different situations where God will come to me well in advance and say, hey, don't let this get your spirit down. Don't let that bother you. Don't let this person get under your skin. And at that moment, I'm thinking like, okay, God, what you talking about? Ain't nothing like that happening. But then here comes a moment where that very thing that God was talking about or warning me about, here it is. It's presenting itself, right? And so, see, God already knew. I know in me giving this word that you're going to automatically, you're going to go to the age thing. Well, I'm too old. Am I still, as she says, shall I have pleasure and delight, my Lord husband being old also? When you get so married to your limitations, you literally block your blessings. You block your blessings. I'm a firm believer that faith is what moves God. Faith is what moves God on our behalf. It moves God to move in our lives, in our situations, to turn our situations, right? And when you're lacking in your faith, then you delay those blessings. It's not that you are being denied of those because it's just, oh, well, whatever, you ain't worthy. No, you delay them because your faith ain't at a place to where you can move God yet. And so God doesn't want us to get caught up and distracted by things that can cause us to delay the blessings by us having shaky faith. He wants us to stay firm and solidified in our faith. And that's why it's good to remind yourself, you know what, if God did it for me back then, what's stopping him from doing it now? I remember that thing. I thought it was impossible for God to do. I thought it wasn't going to be, able to be done. I thought, you know what? I had my fears, my worries, my concerns. I had my questions, but God came through. So it's good to remind yourself of what kind of God you serve. And we serve a God that's on time. We serve a God that's a man of his word, that's a promise keeper, that's a way maker, that's a miracle worker, that defies all odds. It goes on and it says, and the Lord asked Abraham, why did Sarah laugh to herself, saying, shall I really give birth to a child when I am so old? And I love that God asked Abraham this. He understood why Sarah did it. It's not that he's asking because I don't know why she's laughing. I don't know. I need you to. It's not because of that. God asked Abraham this because if you recall just a chapter or two ago, when God told Abraham the same thing, Abraham had the same reaction. He laughed. He laughed and he immediately, went to the age thing. Right? Oh, we're old. Oh, I'm old and Sarah's beyond the opportunity of childbearing. And what God is wanting to teach Abraham in this moment, and what he's teaching us even as men, as the leaders of our home, because it's God, husband, wife, children, and everything else under that. So the man being the head of the house, he's the leader, he's the example, right? And so Abraham setting the tone and being that example, he has to be careful of what he's putting before Sarah. We have to be careful as men what it is that we put before our wives or our children or those that look up to us, even on the jobs, in managing or any type of leadership role that God has you in. You have to be careful of what it is that you are putting out there, the behavior, the words you say, your actions, your responses, everything, because somebody's always watching. And so if Sarah can see that, that Abraham did that, and that it was okay when Abraham did it, why wouldn't it be okay when I do it? If Abraham was able to laugh, why wouldn't I be able to laugh, right? And so we just got to be careful of that. That's something to really think about, right? So God asks Abraham this because I want you to see the kind of example that you can set, and how you can actually persuade people, how you can actually encourage a certain type of behavior in someone else. And so then it goes on and says, is anything too difficult or too wonderful for the Lord? At the appointed time, when the season for her delivery comes, I will return to you and Sarah will have a son. I'm going to remind you of that laugh. I'm going to remind you of when you doubted, of when you had fear, of when you thought it'll never happen, it'll never work. Oh, it'll never go this way for me. It'll never be good for me. It'll never be that. I'm going to remind you of when you had those moments of questioning God, of doubting God. Because I want you not to do it to rub it in your face, but I want you to remember that you don't ever have to doubt me. You don't ever have to second guess me. You don't ever have to question me. But when it happens and it comes to pass, I'm going to come back and I'm going to visit you again. Then it goes on and says, then Sarah denied it, saying, I did not laugh, because she was afraid. And he, the Lord, said, no, but you did laugh. And it's okay that you laughed. Because at the end of the day, God gonna get the last laugh when it happens. And when you look back and you say, wow, I should have just trusted God. How many moments in your life do you have like that? Where you laugh, you doubt, you deny, you do all these things. And then you got to sit there and you say, you know what? If only I just trusted God. Wow, God was really right. God really did it. I know I done had quite a few of those moments in my life. It's okay. Let's be honest. Let's keep it real, right? And so it goes on and it says, then the men got up from there and looked toward Sodom, and Abraham walked with them to send them on the way. The Lord said, shall I keep secret from Abraham, my friend and servant, what I am going to do, since Abraham is destined to become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth will be blessed through him. For I have known, chosen, acknowledged him as my own, so that he may teach and command his children and the sons of his household after him to keep the way of the Lord by doing what is righteous and just, so that the Lord may bring upon Abraham what he has promised. When you are a friend of God, first and foremost, what a beautiful thing that is for God to declare and to claim you as a friend. He said, I share my secret with my friends. I share my secrets with my friends. God will keep you in the loop. God will keep you in the know. When you abide in him and he abides in you, God will keep you in the know of what's getting ready to happen, what's getting ready to go on. And so God didn't want Abraham to be side. He didn't want him to be caught off guard. He wanted him to know, look, there's something going on in Sodom and Gomorrah that I got to go and tend to. There's an outcry of sin that's just been really just, bugging me. I gotta go tend to this thing. I gotta go correct this thing, right? I gotta go and chasten and chastise some people over there. And I want you to know this because I know your cousin Lot is over there. Your nephew Lot is over there. And so I want you to know that. I don't want to keep you in the dark about it. And that shows a level of respect that God had for Abraham because, one, he called him, he chose him. And also because of Abraham's obedience and willingness to follow God, to trust him and to have faith in him. So because you honor me, I'm going to honor you, right? And so it goes on and it says, and then the Lord said, the outcry of sin of Sodom and Gomorrah is indeed great, and their sin is exceedingly grave. I will go down now and see whether they have acted as vilely and wickedly as the outcry which has come to me indicates. And if not, I will know. Ain't that something how our sin can disturb God? Literally, that's what he's saying. The outcry of their sin has literally been so grave to the point to where it literally disturbed me. It brought me out off of my throne to where I gotta go and step down here and I gotta deal with this. I gotta go handle this because it's getting out of hand. And if I don't put a stop to it now, it's gonna infect more people in more places. So I gotta go and see about this thing. And so it goes on and it says that now the two men, angelic beings, turned away from there and went toward Sodom, but Abraham remained standing before the Lord. Abraham approached the Lord and said, will you really sweep away the righteous, those who do right, with the wicked, those who do evil? Will you really destroy those that don't deserve being destroyed, all because other people around them are living a sinful life, a dark life, a lustful life? You could be in a home of 5 people and you could be the only righteous one in there. Don't you know that God will spare that house on your account and on your behalf? Don't you know that there are many times that God has spared your job, has spared a public place that you were in where somebody could have came in and did anything, but because you were in the midst of that place, God spared it. God stopped the enemy in his tracks, all because a righteous soul was in that place. I thank God for times where things could have happened in places that I was in, but because of the prayers that was covering my life, because of my rightful standing with God, that God didn't allow what was meant to happen or what could have happened in that place to happen, but yet he spared it, right? And so Abraham now, with this information, now he finds himself in a place of saying, you know what, I gotta make sure I secure Lot's safety. So I know now it's time for me to take action and to get into the face of God, to seek God. So God, I gotta come challenge you on this. I know you're going to go and destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. I know you're going to go and chase and chastise them because of the sin that's going off in that place, because of how wild, how evil, how dark they are in that place. I get that that's what you're getting ready to do. But, oh, will you not spare the righteous? Will you make the righteous suffer all because of the wicked? And so it goes on and says, suppose there are 50 righteous people within the city. Will you really sweep it away and not spare it for the sake of the 50 righteous who are in it? Far be it, and I love this, boldness. God loves boldness. He loves confidence. He loves when we're not afraid to get real with him. And this is what Abraham is doing. Hey, look, I got to get real with you for a second, God. He says, far be it from you to do such a thing, to strike the righteous with the wicked, so that the righteous and the wicked are treated alike. Far be it from you. Shall not the judge of all the earth do right by executing just and righteous judgment? Are they really going to suffer because of that? That's not you. That's not of you. You honor the righteous. You bring the wrath upon those that the wrath need to be brought upon. But you're not that kind of guy where you just going, come on now. So he's really getting deep with God. He's really getting serious with God. And so it goes on and it says, so the Lord said, if I find within the city of Sodom 50 righteous people, then I will spare the entire place for their sake. Look at how his faith is moving God still, even in this. He had to have some sense of faith to believe that in me going before God, even in this tone that I'm going before men, that it's going to move him, because he sees how serious I am about this, because what he's recognizing in this moment is Abraham's heart, right? Not only just for the righteous, but even for Lot. Even though they had to go their separate ways, even though they couldn't live within the same land because it was kind of getting out of hand, his heart was still big for Lot. And oftentimes in life, we feel that just because we can't live in the same space, or sometimes be in the same space with people, that we got to have this anger or this hatred or this demeanor against them. No, you can still love. I can love you from a distance. I can still care for you from a distance. I can still be concerned about you. And so Abraham goes on, and it says, Abraham answered, now behold, I who am but dust and origin and ashes have decided to speak to the Lord. I couldn't stay quiet on this behalf. Oftentimes, we get information or we hear somebody going through something, and sometimes we just be quiet. We won't even pray. We won't even intercede on their behalf. We don't even have a word of encouragement. But Abraham said, this matter means too much. I can't just be quiet. I got to say something. I got to speak up. Sometimes it's going to require for you to speak up. Sometimes you're going to hear somebody going through something, and you're going to have to instantly get it going to prayer. Don't be afraid to use what God has given you, the gift of prayer, the gift to speak life, the gift to encourage, to motivate, to inspire. Use your gifts. And so it goes on, and it says that if 5 of the 50 righteous are lacking, will you destroy the entire city for lack of 5? And he said, if I find at least 45 righteous people there, I will not destroy it. Abraham spoke to him yet again and said, suppose only 40 are found there. And he said, I will not do it for the sake of the 40 who are righteous. Okay, we getting somewhere. Then Abraham said to him, oh, may the Lord not be angry with me, and I will speak. Suppose 30 righteous people are found there. And he said, I will not do it if I find 30 there. And the thing that I love so much about this is it's funny, because a lot of us, we feel the same exact way that Abraham felt, after, going to God about 3 times about the same matter, right? He says, you know what, God, don't be angry with me. If you're not angry with me, I'm going to continue to speak, right? If you still willing to hear me, I'm going to continue to speak. I know I keep asking you this, but I got to keep asking you. I got to keep seeking you about this matter, right? And oftentimes when we get into this place where we kind of get afraid that we're pissing God off, or we're bugging God, or we're too much for God, or our prayers are too much, or our asking is too much, we got to remember that God doesn't get tired of hearing from us. He actually wants to hear from us, right? He loves when he can hear from us. He loves when we are actually willing to come to him with things that we are going through or things that we are facing. Even if it's to pray for somebody else or to intercede for somebody else, God loves that. He encourages that. He literally admires, he loves the praise, that he inhabits the praises of his people. And so Abraham said, you know what, if I'm getting on your nerve, just bear with me a little bit more, because I'm not done with this matter. I need to secure Lot's safety. And so he goes on and he says, then Abraham said to him, oh, my Lord, do not be angry, and I will speak. Suppose 30. And he said that I will, if I find 30, I will not do it. And he said, now behold, I have decided to speak to the Lord again. So suppose only 20 righteous people are found there. And the Lord said, I will not destroy it for the sake of the 20. Then Abraham said, oh, may the Lord not be angry with me, and I will speak only this once. Suppose 10 righteous people are found there. And he said, I will not destroy it for the sake of the 10. As soon as he had finished speaking with Abraham, it says the Lord departed, and Abraham returned to his own place. He was at peace now. He could sleep now, because he knew that his persistence, that his consistency, and that his willingness to actually go before God and diligently seek him on this matter has helped secure Lot's security and safety in the midst of hell and all the turmoil that's going on over there and the destruction that's about to come upon that place. So he felt at peace now. So he was able to depart from the presence of the Lord and go back to his home, because he knew, okay, God, here goes faith again. God got him. If God said that he gonna do it, okay, I ain't got to ask no more. I believe you, God. I trust you, God. I thank God for this word. I really hope that we are encouraged by this, that we, leave away with this with two really important things. One, if God makes a promise to you, know that God is going to see to it that that promise comes to life. And another thing is that we matter to God, that God cares so much about us, right? And he loves us so much, right? That when we are in right standing with God, that God will always choose to spare us, that God will always choose to keep us out of harm's way. Even if the harm is going on around us, God would allow everything around you to fall apart, but your life will still be flourishing. All because you are rightfully serving, walking with God, and honoring God. So be encouraged in all of this and know that it's your faith again. It's your faith that moves mountains. It's your faith that moves God. It's your faith that's going to get you from here to there. May God bless us. May God add a blessing to the reading of his word. I appreciate y'all tapping in and watching this. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Share this with everybody that you know. Let them know, hey, Pastor D got a word for you. Come get this word. And as I always say, be encouraged, get inspired, and stay uplifted. And as always, God bless.
Wisdom is for free, but yet it's overpriced. And I never seen success happen overnight.